This is the MP32L from Serdashop. It's basically a Roland MT32 emulator based on the MT32 Pi project on GitHub. I have postponed this video for a few weeks now because I expected it to be complicated. I've never used a Raspberry Pi before, so I thought there was a steep learning curve. I was wrong. Putting it all together is easy. Mount the MP32L on top of your Raspberry Pi. If you have a 3D printed casing, mount the Pi first, then the MP32L. It's easier to click them into place this way. I use a Raspberry Pi 4 or 4B as some call it. And then we click the lid on. Format the SD card as FAT32 and copy the files over. You need to supply your own MT32 ROMs, but I'm sure you will find them. There are several versions of the MT32 ROMs. I'm sticking to version 107 of the old ROMs and version 204 for the new ROM version. I would also recommend installing the ROMs for the Roland CM32. Many games listed as MT32 games sounds better with the CM32 due to the CM's 32 extra instruments and sound effects. I also added the sound font called Chorium. The build quality for the 3D printed case is way better than I thought it would be. Especially the lid has a nice finish and good texture. The two 3D printed pieces fit very well together, and when you install the Raspberry Pi and the MP32L, they click in place. You can hear and feel the click, it's very satisfying. Before we start, there is one more thing we need to check, and that is the MT32 Pi CFG file. On Serdashop you will find a minimal version of this file. I compared with the default config and made the changes in accordance with Serdashop's recommendations. These settings will make sure that the OLED display and communication between the Pi and the MP32L is correct. If you want to read more, I suggest reading the README file under the Docs folder. We are only using 3 ports, the USB-C for power, the DIN plug for MIDI, and the jack for audio out. You can use a MIDI cable like this, or the DB15 to MIDI adapter from Serdashop, with an ordinary 5-pin DIN cable. I prefer the adapter because it's less cabling. You can also use a serial to MIDI adapter, more on that later. Now we are ready to connect. The DB15 MIDI goes into the joystick/MIDI port on your sound card. I am using a Sound Blaster AWE32. Connecting everything is quite self-explaining. I expected the MP32L to have a rather long boot time, but in fact it takes less time than booting my PC, even restarting my PC. There is one more thing we must do before we can use it. We need to tell the games that it shall divert the MIDI output to the joystick/MIDI port. We do that by changing the setSynth parameter. If you want to use the correct ROM version for a specific game, check the MT32 compatible game list on Wikipedia. Prehistoric uses the old MT32 ROM. Are you excited now? Do you want to hear Monkey Island on real MT32, or at least as real as possible without the original hardware? Well, then there is one more thing we need to learn. Many games expect Intelligent Mode MPU 401 interface. Since the Sound Blaster AWE32 and most of the Sound Blaster's MIDI port is not intelligent, we need to fix that. Lucky for us, there is a tool called SoftMPU. SoftMPU is a DOS terminant and stay resident that emulates an Intelligent Mode hardware MPU 401 interface. It's designed to work in tandem with the MIDI interface found on Sound Blaster and other common sound cards. Here is what we need to type: softmpu/MPU330/SB220/ERQ5/output MIDI. We are now ready to play Monkey Island. First, make sure that the MP32L is set to MT32 modus, then start Monkey Island with the parameter R. Yes, this is what I've been looking for all these years. I am very happy with this result. Case closed, nothing more to say. If you want MT32, get the MP32L, it's easy. I should mention that if you don't want to use the SoftMPU utility, you can also get patches for games to fix the SD card intelligent MIDI problems. Head over to the Sierra help pages to get patches for Sierra games. Or you can use a MIDI card that supports intelligent mode, like the PC MIDI card I have ordered but not received yet. The PC MIDI card is a 8-bit ISA card. The website says fully Roland intelligent mode compatible, no drivers needed, full hardware solution with 100% game compatibility, fully UART mode compatible, wavetable header for MIDI daughterboards, 100% bug free. So, in an 8088 or a 286 setup, this would be the best solution. If you have a 386 or better, and you have nothing against using EMM 386, then a serial to MIDI adapter would be both the best and easiest method. The buttons are almost self-explaining. The button named M for mode is for changing between Roland and sound fonts. And the B is for bank, and it's for changing between different sound fonts or different MT32 versions or the CM32. The plus and minus are for controlling the volume out. Sound fonts is basically MIDI instrument libraries. When you download MT32Pi, you will get a general MIDI sound font called GeneralUser. On my MP32L, I have also added the Chorium Rev A. So let's set the MP32L in sound font mode and let's choose the Chorium library. Listen. the GeneralUser webpage states. GeneralUser GS is a GM and GS compatible sound font bank for composing, playing MIDI files, and retro gaming. It features 259 instruments presets and 11 drum kits, all while processing a very low memory footprint, less than 30 megabytes of RAM. Due to its clever, detailed sound programming, GeneralUser GS can sound as good or better than sound fonts that are 2 to 3 times its size. It sounds different from Chorium. Maybe not everybody agrees with me, but I prefer Chorium, at least in Doom. Okay, so now we have covered the basics. Let us enjoy Leisure Suite Larry Goes Looking for Love in Several Wrong Places. Isn't it cool? I love it. Some games don't let you choose MT32 or CM32, but LAPC1. LAPC1 is basically the name of the CM32 on a ESA card. Let's choose LAPC1 and listen to the game in MT32 and CM32 mode on the MP32L. As we can hear, the difference is huge. So pay attention to what synth the game is designed for. Just for fun, let's listen to the game with the Chorium sound fonts. There is one last thing I want to show you before we end this video. Andreas has created a small program that lets us control the MP32L from DOS, Atari, Amiga, Windows 32-bit and Linux. With this program we can change the mode, bank and even send text to the OLED display on the MP32L. 4D boxing supports MP32 and is made for the new ROM. We can now make a batch file to set the MP32L in correct mode before we are starting the game. I hope you liked this video. If you did, I would like very much if you pressed like. See you in my next video.